Today we're gonna talk about textures. Now, textures is something that you can use when you don't get the feel of the material that's in the drawing or supposed to be in the drawing. Maybe you don't have the skills to, paint something that it feels like perhaps wood or metal or, stone or everything like that. So you can use some textures to help you out. And I'm gonna show you how I use textures. For most part I don't use it, but I use it when I feel like, yes, here we need to have some textures because the feeling of the material is not coming out. And you can see here, I'm gonna show you two drawings here, some old drawings. Here is a robot destroying a city, trying to hit the heroine here that's jumping. This robot is supposed to be an ancient machine that's been around for a long time, but as you can see, it's very clean, doesn't have any scratches or anything like that. It kind of looks brand new, and that's not the feel I want. And we have a female knight here. This is an old comic idea I had, and you can see here she's standing, everything looks good, but the armor that she's wearing, the gray here, is not feeling, metal. It doesn't feel like it's an armor. It feels more like, I don't know, something very clean or maybe fabric. So we're gonna change that. And we have some textures here. You can see here is a weathered texture, an oil painting texture, a scratched metal texture, and a more simple, going from dark to light to dark, kind of scratchy metal texture. So we're gonna go with the robot first. For this I have it all on one layer just to show you that you don't need to have it in between layers and everything like that. You can do it afterwards as well if you feel like, oh, this is a good drawing, but maybe I should put some texture into it. And just to make it simpler. But if you want it in layers, I would put it above the colors, the flat colors. That's where I would put the metal texture, not above shadows or light. You could do it. You could do it like what we're gonna do now. We're gonna use multiply. So we're gonna first fix the texture. Now this is a texture that has color in it. Now that's a problem because the robot is red and the texture is, kind of gray, bluish. So that's a problem. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to edit, tonal correction, and hue and saturation. I don't know where it is in Photoshop, but I think it's image adjustments and then hue and saturation. So we're gonna change the saturation and just lower it all the way down. So we get grayscale, everything grayscale. We want the colors to disappear from this texture. Why? Because like I said, the colors will interfere with the red and we don't want that. And I feel like it's a little bit too dark for the image we're doing. So I'm gonna raise it up a little bit so we get more of a dusty feel. Here we go. And we're gonna mark it all and copy it, and we're gonna paste it. Now you can see the texture is kind of small against the drawing, and that's fine. That's fine because the texture doesn't have to be pitch perfect. It's actually better if it's a little bit grungy and not sharp. Because if the texture is too sharp against the drawing, it can, get the feeling of, oh, this is something that's been put on. So you can see here, what I'm doing now is that I'm taking the texture and I'm layering it so it covers the robot, because that's what I want. Now you can lock the texture to a layer below and stuff like that, but we're not gonna do that for this one. Because I want to keep it simple, just to show you. So I'm going to use multiply, and then you can see already it gets a kind of effect But what it does is also darkening everything, and that's because we have a very dark texture. So we can do is go overlay, and then you see we get some of the colors to stay the same. What I usually do is either soft light or overlay. Overlay is when I really want the texture to pop out, as you can see here. So I'm gonna go and push it to around, let's say 75. Yeah, that feels good. That feels great. And then you can see, you can also put it on backgrounds and stuff like that. You can see here the pink and the pink with the texture on. But for this, we're gonna go and do it like this. We're gonna take, I'm not gonna be, because like I said, when you do it with layers, you can actually just, you know, lock it down to the color layer, so it is locked onto just that layer, and then it won't go outside the area that you want the texture to be on. So I'm just gonna go here quickly. Why I don't have that layer left is because this is, like I said, it's an old drawing. So there we go, boom. It's an old drawing and I don't have the layers left, so all I had was this image. So I was just gonna, you know, use it because it's a good way to show you the texture kind of quality and what you can do with it. So for this, now we have a very good texture. I feel it's good. We're gonna take, for instance, when it's shiny stuff, I usually don't have any texture on it because I want the shininess to come out. But everything else looks good. It looks more rusty now, right? But I want a texture for the arm and the stomach here, and that's why I chose this one. So we're gonna, once again, because it looks like it's grayscale, but we're gonna go and just in case, and you can see it already, it changes because there's a little bit of blue in it. So for this, I really want a little bit of the blue, so I'm gonna actually just lower it a little bit so it doesn't become too much. And this you can choose however you want. The best you can do is always just go all the way to grayscale. But for instance, if you want the colors to interfere with the drawing, that's fine as well. And I'm gonna once again paste it. You can see here. But what I'm gonna do now is this. I'm gonna take free transform and I'm gonna try, let's see here, I'm gonna try and make it look like it's going with the arm. So as you can see, I'm trying to fix it so the texture is actually following the lines of the arm. And why am I doing that? Well, it's kind of simple, because I want the feeling of the texture to be around the object. So try always, if you can just bend it a little bit, just, you know, make it go. If it's a round object, try to make the texture, you know, go around it, so it doesn't feel like it's a straight on texture. And once again, you can see here, boom, we get some effect. You can see I can move it around here if I want to, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna keep it like that. And you can see here we get the lines and everything. So I'm just gonna go pop that out. So I can see where the effect is. And here we're just gonna take a big brush. Or we can take the selection tool and just go like this. Delete. And I'm just gonna keep it on the arm, like I said. So we get the texture right there. Boom. And you can see we already get a better effect, and then you can put that on. Maybe you want to erase the other effect if you want to. It's all up to you. I'm just doing this just to show you what it can do. And this is without it, and this is with. So you can see we get some cool effect, and I'm gonna go with 80% of the texture here. And as you can see, it kind of works like that, where you get some effect. And then of course you could put, you know, like here we can put let's see, it's a pinkish sky, so let's take a very pinkish white, and here you go. I can even put a little bit more light on here, and then go overlay or soft light. Maybe I could go with add glow or something. Yeah, maybe not add, but overlay to get a little bit more glow if I want to. So you can see, you can change even if you put some light on top of the texture to make it shine a little bit more, or make it so it blends in more. It kind of depends on where you want to put the texture. What I usually do, like I said, is I put the colors in, and then I put on top of that the texture, and on top of that I put the shadows and the lights, so you get the effect of it. For this, it's kind of like, yeah, everything is right under here, but it's just to show you how texture and how I work with texture. Now, for instance, let's go back to the knight with the armor. For this, I was thinking maybe something like this, the scratched metal. She's been in battle before. So we're gonna go hue and saturation, change it a little bit down to grayscale, copy it because it's kind of good as it is. And we're gonna go here and we're gonna boom. And you can see here now the big texture here. It's a very large texture. So I'm gonna go and just lower it so I can see where I get the big scratches. And I'm gonna actually scale it up a little bit so we don't get the huge scratches. I want some scratches, but not all of them. So for instance, let's go with that. That works, I think. Now we're gonna go 100% overlay, and you can see already we already get a more, you know, metal kind of feel. But I'm still gonna lower a little bit because let's see, 30%. Yeah, here we go. Because the hair is not metal, and this part is actually kind of like chainmail or some sort of chainmail. I'm not quite sure what kind of chainmail it is, but it is some sort of chainmail, yes. So I'm just gonna go here, and the problem here is also that the lines are, let's see, painted, so it becomes a little bit, because the texture is actually laying on top of the lines, which again is because it's all one image and it's my fault. But just to show you like this. Okay, here we go. Now maybe I wanted to feel a little bit more, so I could duplicate it, and you can see already, boom, because it's overlay and overlay, and you get, so I can go like this, and maybe, yeah, something like that. Maybe do a little bit of blur just to not make it too strong. Let's see, let's take this texture as well, but for this, let's put it on top of everything, and I'm gonna go and let's see, I'm gonna rotate it like that. I'm gonna try and make it all, yes, apply works for me. I'm gonna go and try and find where the highlight is, because there's light coming from a fire in this drawing, so I'm just gonna try and find the edge of the arm, and there's the shine. There we go, and here we go, boom, something like that. And I'm gonna go with soft light. Yeah, it kind of works. Maybe I should do a little bit scaling up just so we get the glow on the right side there. There we go. Or should I do overlay? No, maybe too much shine. No, it kind of works. So you can see it's always about, you know, trying and adding and you know, trying different blending options just to see what works, because sometimes you're like, oh, this really worked well, I did not think of that. Usually there is just the three, the add, overlay, or soft light that I usually go for. But you know, sometimes there are different values and different solutions to it. So I'm just gonna go like this and just try and remove like that. And there you have a more metal texture. And now for this, of course, I could do some light and stuff like that, just to, whoops, not on that layer, of course, on a different layer. Here we go. And I'm gonna go with a little bit smaller brush, maybe like that. Maybe I have some light here and there, and then you can have some glow if you want that, or stuff like that. So it's all about, you know, finding the right type of texture for it. As you can see, I didn't use the metal texture that much. I used this one just to get the kind of, you know, metal glow that it becomes, and I didn't use the oil painting. This is more kind of, I use this for fabric and kind of, you know, when I want some random texture. Weather is my kind of favorite right now, because it can be, you know, both painting, it can be some texture for fabric, it can be texture for, you know, rust and metal, and it can be on the grass, it can be pretty much everything. What I have is a big collection of different textures, and I try to use them all, but sometimes you have to have some specific textures to get the right feeling and how to use them. Remember, they should never be like 100%. You should always try and, you know, use a little bit, just so it doesn't become clean, because if I take away all this, you see, this is clean. With this you get the shine, and this you get the glow, but this is where, you know, kind of, okay, it's rusty, it's kind of an old machine. You get that feeling from this texture, and you can also try and, you know, change it up, so you can have, for instance, let's do it like this. Let's say the head is more rusty than anything. So for instance, I can use more on the head and just remove, let's see, here we go. Just try, and here we go. And boom. So you can see here, now we get more rust here. Or you could use a different kind of texture, perhaps even. Let's go with that. Let's take the scratched metal thing instead. So for instance, let's remove this, and boom, here we go with the scratchy metal. So I'm gonna do it big. I'm gonna try and cover it like that. That works. And let's see. I want the scratch to be kind of like close to the eye. So yeah, something like that, perhaps. Yeah, that works. And let's go 100 and overlay. And you can see already we're getting now a different kind of feel, because I'm trying to have different textures to get what I want. Maybe I want the machine to feel like it's more broken and stuff like that. So I can use different parts of a texture and just put it on specific areas, and then, you know, try to make it so it doesn't feel like everything is just one big texture. There are great textures that, you know, have the kind of fluidity, so it blends together. You can't see it's like one big texture, but sometimes you have that texture that just goes through everything. And what I mean by that is, let's see, I'm gonna go to my folder of textures, and I'm gonna take, yeah, let's take this one. Let's see, here we go, I think. Yes, here we go. And I'm gonna open up. You will see soon what I mean. Now, for instance, here we have a shirt texture. Now, this is something you can use for, you know, silly comics and stuff like that. But, for instance, if I put it like on top of the robot, let's go boom, boom, like that. And yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm actually gonna go and put it like that so it doesn't go. Layer settings, clip it layer below. And you can see what I mean. Now this feels like it's all one big texture, because you can see the lines just going everywhere. It doesn't form after the object. Here is supposed to be more of a circle, but it doesn't change. It just goes as one giant texture, and that's the problem. You have to have a texture that doesn't, you know, reveal that it is a big image just on top of it. So one thing you can do is, you know, just cut it out for instance the arm and change it so it flows with the object. Is it supposed to be round? Okay, try to round it out. So even here you can almost see a little bit that it is, because I was trying to get the scratch just here so it doesn't go over this part, because if it goes over this part you will see that it's just a one big image. So if there is scratches, for instance here, just don't try to make the scratch go over different areas. So for instance, if the scratch is long and you want it to go like this, okay, and then perhaps a little bit on the armor, okay, then shift it so the scratch goes here and perhaps then goes something like that. So you shift the image, maybe you cut it out so it's one image here and then one image on the breastplate and then one other version on the other arm. So you get the same image, but it is cut into 3 pieces to make it feel like it doesn't feel like one great image. And that's the way how to use texture. At least for me, this is how I do it when I do it. I do it because sometimes I just want to, you know, make it feel like the material is what it is, but I don't want to paint it because it's gonna take so long, so therefore I use some textures to try and help me. So remember that you don't have to rely on the textures, just use them wisely and make it feel like it's the material. For instance, I am not good at painting wood, so therefore I use wooden texture to help me out. I know how to draw, you know, like the planks or maybe the tree, but I want the texture to help me explain that it is wood. So that's how I use texture. So I hope you have learned something today, and I will see you in the next tutorial video. Bye!